In this video, I'm going to cover an in-depth client case study on my client Mason, who was 10 pounds down, eating 900 more calories per day using my method of metabolic priming. So in this video, we're going to go through my initial consultation, where he was at, where he was wanting to get, the roadblocks that were kind of holding him back, and then a step-by-step process that I added to each week of his program to guide his body on getting the leanest he's ever been, eating more food, doing less cardio. So I'm going to explain why in-depth metabolic priming is the most sustainable, but also the most predictable way of losing body fat. I've worked with dozens of guys in the past, and metabolic priming works every single time to get my clients to the leanest body fat percentage they have ever been, utilizing higher forms of nutrition through key metrics and hormonal priming. So my name is Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss professional. I specialize in hormonal priming, body recomposition, and higher level forms of nutrition through key factors of hormones at play, with nutrition as a factor to drive. So we're going to cover in depth Mason's entire transformation in general, and so buckle up because we're about to cover a lot. So anyways, kind of going over his first initial consultation, right? And Mason is a university teacher, right? So he has a long, stressful job, 9-to-5 job. So we needed to craft him a sustainable plan and a sustainable approach and really separate execution from strategy, right? We need to give him a sustainable approach where he could just go in, implement, know exactly what to do and when, and that's where all my clients see progress, right? Having a correct plan in place and having trust within that plan. So his goals were to get bigger, gain lean muscle tissue, and eventually maybe compete. So he wanted to get a sustainable approach for his day-to-day job, something he could maintain, through the week, even with being a busy college professor. So his current calories were at 2,300. He said around, right? So 240 protein, 240 to 270 protein, 80 grams of fat, and we need to first of all do a caloric intake maintenance assessment week for him, which means that I wanted to assess where exactly his nutrition was before I started to really implement my macronutrients into place. And then we wanted to lower his current intake and reset his metabolism, right? So what I mean by lower his current intake and reset his metabolism was we needed to really dial in the macronutrients at play. So there's a synergistic effect that happens with every single one of my clients from a hormonal benefit when you nail the macronutrients. You nail the protein, you nail the carbs, and you nail the fats. Protein for a higher thermic effect, fat for mitigation of hormone levels, and then carbohydrates to drive the actual process of your metabolism getting raised. If you break down your entire metabolism, 60% of it is your basal metabolic rate, right? Which is your breathing, blood flow, sleeping, organ function. And what carbohydrates do is they affect that certain area of the metabolism: breathing, blood flow, thinking, organ function. So we use that as our driver to raise his metabolism and raise his BMR. So we wanted to put him in a 6 to 8 week metabolic priming phase, which means we wanted to get his BMR up, build lean muscle tissue before we started to bring him back down, right? And why we wanted to do that is we wanted to set a good base. We need to set a good structure, right? Having more muscle mass leads to having a higher metabolism, right? Because muscle mass is, simply put, the most metabolic hormonal factor when it does come to increasing your BMR, right? Muscle mass is 4 times as metabolic than body fat. So there was a recent study done that says that it is quite literally worse to lose muscle tissue than it is to gain body fat. So put that into context, right? Why? Because it takes 8 calories to sustain 1 pound of muscle tissue, 2 calories to sustain 1 pound of body fat. So hyper-focusing on something that is going to help him grow lean muscle tissue would raise his BMR, raise his body's ability to intake more calories, and once you start to raise that metabolism up and prime the body for good muscle growth, you basically expand that muscle into your skin and make you appear leaner, right? So for instance, my dummy Timmy here, if you guys watch my channel, I bring him up a lot. So let's take 15% body fat at 150 versus 180, right? So what we want to do is get him up, get his muscle mass up so we can really get more prominent, right? More protruding with each part of the muscle group in general, like the abs, the chest, the arms, and to make you appear leaner, right? Because at a higher muscle mass ratio, the body fat has less surface area to cover, right? So what we want to do with him, we're just starting him at a 6 to 8 with metabolic priming phase. We wanted to, first of all, lower his fat intake and slightly lower his protein intake. So he was intaking a little bit too much protein for the benefit that we wanted to give him, and his fat intake was a little bit too high as well. So what we did is we took his current calories that he had, the current calories that he was at in his maintenance caloric intake assessment week, and we redirected that with a correct protein and fat goal. And then we backfill the rest with carbohydrates. So basically we substituted some protein that he was over intaking, substituted some fat he was over intaking, and gave him more carbohydrates to meet the calories that he was already at. That helps with, right off the bat, a beautiful body recomposition within my clients. A lot of my clients lose 10 to 15 pounds within the first 3 to 4 weeks, just because nailing the macronutrients, getting good body recomposition, and nailing the calories within the macronutrients, right? So we wanted to, one, increase carbohydrates to build muscle and mitigate adrenal fatigue. So not a lot of people put into context actual inflammation in the body, adrenal fatigue, and then cortisol levels as well. Mitigating adrenal fatigue will allow your body to gain lean muscle tissue. It'll also allow your body to suck the body fat off, right? If you have a high level of adrenal fatigue and a high level of inflammation in your body, the body will quite literally not allow you to lose weight, not allow you to lose body fat, all right? So we need to make sure that his recovery aspect was in place too. So before I kind of get into the day-to-day and kind of show you exactly how I was able to raise his calories and get him lean, I want you to first of all hear from Mason himself. You've gotten shredded. Like your abs look like something off of Zac Efron Baywatch.
I am consuming more food each day and I'm getting leaner. It's crazy. It is crazy in so many ways. And
biggest focus is like getting you like really lean, like right off the bat. And like we did just that. Transformation you made eating 700 calories, you're down 10 pounds still, and like you're lean. Like most people don't accomplish that in years. You've done that, and I would say a little under like 8 to 10 weeks range.
You helping me to find that missing link as far as the food aspect has really been a blessing. With your plan, on average, I'm in and out of the gym in 1 hour, but you really do go the extra mile as far as just being helpful and being there. If you're not willing to put in the time, to put in the cost, to put in the money, everything else to kind of invest in yourself, then why are we here?
So as you can see, we needed to craft him a plan that was a little bit on the side of a quick and to the point gym routine. Dial in the macronutrients, because the macronutrients are most at what play. But, yes, 95% of it is nutrition. Can't lie with that. But you have to be able to hyper-focus on muscle tissue growth and have a good training program in play, or the nutrition doesn't matter, right? They go together accordingly, right? Obviously, nutrition is way more important in the aspect that you could be doing all the gym stuff in the world, have a crappy nutrition plan, you can make zero progress. On the other side, you could have a great nutrition plan, not have great amount of actual, training available, and you could make a little bit of progress. But to make an insane amount of progress, you really nail them both, right? So before I kind of get into the exact step-by-step process and everything that I kind of implemented along the way, I want to kind of show you from a higher level view before we get into the weeds of stuff, my overall thoughts and what I was wanting to accomplish with him. So we wanted to put him in a 6-week 8 metabolic priming phase, right? So he was currently at 2,200 calories, and his BMR was relatively low, right? You can always speculate that someone's BMR is relatively low when they've been eating low amounts of calories for an extended period of time. The body likes to adapt to a low amount of calories, and over time you downregulate all the hormone levels, right? So the most predictable way to get shredded is to optimize the BMR first, right? Making sure the BMR is high as it can go before you go into a more of a structured fat loss phase. And when I say fat loss phase and metabolic priming phase, I don't want you guys to think that we're not trying to lose body fat with Mason here. We're trying to get him lean as hell. As you see in the video, the testimony, he said he was like getting leaner, eating more food, because that's why we stimulated his metabolism and paired him with a training program that allowed him build muscle tissue, raise his metabolism, and be able to get leaner in the process, right? So it also comes in the context of something that's called the energy flux, right? So cognitively, you would think that eating 3,000 calories a day and burning 3,000 calories a day would be relatively the same, right, as burning 2,000 calories and eating 2,000. Well, it's not. It's not about calories in versus calories out. And if you are somebody who is stuck in the calories versus calories out and you've been stuck for a while, this should be eye-opening for you. So, like, let's think about this. If you're intaking 3,000 calories a day, your BMR is already going to be higher, right? Your BMR is what they kind of like icing on the cake, right? So if you've downregulated all of your hormone levels in the form of lowered your metabolism because you've been dieting super hard for an extended period of time, maybe you've lost 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and now you're stuck. First of all, the body doesn't want to lose weight, right? You got to put it into context. The body does not want to lose weight. If you've lost 30, 40 pounds before, and you still are eating at the certain calorie amount that's super, super low, the body starts to downregulate things in the form of you starving, right? And so you need to go back and prime your metabolism once again after you've lost that weight. In the same context when somebody's doing like a tons of cardio, right? If you've been doing tons of cardio, your adrenal fatigue is through the roof, your body won't allow you to lose weight. So calories in versus calories out means absolutely nothing. But having a higher energy flux, meaning that we're nailing the nutrition and the hormonal side of things, we're putting a good gym program together to make sure we're growing muscle tissue and expending energy through training per training session. Now you're burning 3,000 calories, eating 3,000 calories, but now you got icing on the cake in the form of your BMR, which allows you to get even leaner. So that's where it comes into context where people think it's all about calories in versus calories out. It's not. It goes a lot deeper than that, especially when you get down to the scientific level, when you come into adrenal fatigue, when you come into the downregulation of hormones and downregulation of BMR. But that is specifically what I am an expert in, is the actual hormonal side of things when it comes to actual fat loss. So what I was wanting to do with him is, first of all, get his calories up and simultaneously get his BMR up. So why we wanted to do that? Because we wanted to set our good base. We wanted to set our foundation. So we automatically cut him to 0 cardio. And we started to work him up very slowly, right? And checking in with me every single week, making sure that his body wasn't putting off any body fat in the process, making sure his body was accepting the calories that we were giving him. And over the course of time, we got his BMR all the way up to here, right? To basically as high as it could possibly go. And a lot of people always ask me, like, well, how do you know? You guys don't understand, I work with these guys one-on-one for weeks. Like, I learn their body and how their body works. Like, I can usually kind of tell within my clients when we're kind of at that peak, when their BMR is at the highest, depending on their weight, how they look, their gym sessions. And that's why they check in with me every single week, so I can update their macronutrients, update their training programs based upon the progress they're making, right? So, like, for instance, let's take like a one-size-fits-all approach like keto or carnivore. If you guys still trying that, this should be eye-opening for you as well. Let's say that you get to the end of, I guess, there's no updating it, right? There's no weekly updating a carnivore diet. What are you going to do? Go more carnivore? What are you going to do? Go more keto? Like, this is such a, unsustainable approach. And you probably have lost a lot of weight doing it because, yeah, it's great for the majority. It's great for the majority of people when they get the initial 20, 30 pounds off. But if you want to get six-pack lean, want to get six-pack shredded, this is what people are doing. This is what my clients are doing. And this is the predictable way of doing it, right? So once we got him up into the calorie amount we wanted to get him, and we'll kind of cover the fat loss phase when we get there, right? But I want to kind of show you step by step what this looks like on paper, right? So right off the bat, you can see he's at 174 pounds on March 6th, right here. So starting calories, 2,250, starting protein, 225, 200 carbs, 60 fat. And then we start to 1 each week, add a little bit more carbohydrates. Add a little bit more carbohydrates. And so, like, notice, like, each week how much his body is starting to just fill out, right? His abs are getting more prominent. His side shots getting more prominent as well, more full. The abs are getting more glycogen and it makes him appear to be leaner. And then we started to give him more food, right? 418, more food, right? So keep in context, and I'll show you kind of his weight here in a second. But we're giving him more food. Like, already within a month and a half, 6 weeks, we're up to 2,800 calories, right? So all the way up to 2,900 calories on the 3rd. And I want to kind of put this into context for you. So, 1, we got him all the way up to 3,000 calories, 3,085. But look how much leaner he is. Look how much more full he is. Look at his side shot. His obliques are just pressed against each other. But look at his weight. He has successfully lost 10 pounds, eating 1,000 more or 900 more calories, right? So it's not all about calories in versus calories out. It's about nailing the hormonal factor side of things, right? So we kind of got him at his peak right here. I could kind of tell this is when he checked in the week after that weigh-in, that all-time low weigh-in. Notice how much leaner he is right here, though. Like, he just looks more full. He looks like something off a magazine, right? Because he's got the full look, he's got the dry look. His arms and shoulders are getting bigger, and so I kind of could tell right after this. I'm like, okay, we're kind of at our peak right now. So since we're at our peak, our calories are pretty high. Now we go back into an actual fat loss phase, right? So right here, and I can tell usually with my clients by their weight. So notice on the 23rd, he's at 165. We kept raising it a little bit, and in the next 2 weeks, he kind of shot up a little bit. So that was like my telltale sign. And like looking at his body, I'm like, okay, he's ready for a fat loss phase. His metabolism is prime. We're at the peak tip of the BMR. So this was my next thoughts in my head. Okay, so next. He's at 3,085 calories, right? His BMR is at an all-time high because we kind of depict, because we're at a point where, one, his weight's starting to go up just a tad, which is okay. We want weight to go up because, one, we want him to grow lean muscle tissue. But, think about it like this. Like, a lot of people think that it's all about, like, weight in general, that it's just lose as much weight to get lean. It's not always true. Like, you can tell that side-by-sides right here, he's down in weight, but he looks like he is 20 pounds lighter, because with my clients, when I know I did a pretty damn bang-up job with them, is when they're like 5 to 10 pounds down, but they look 30 pounds down, right? Because we've grown lean muscle tissue, we've hung on to lean muscle tissue, but we've just peeled the fat right off, right? So if you're somebody who's lost 30 pounds and you lose 15 pounds of muscle tissue, remember I said in the beginning, like, losing muscle tissue is quite literally worse hormonally than gaining body fat. We don't want to lose muscle tissue, right? So that's why we do physical check-ins, because, one, I need to see how they're progressing week by week, because the number on the scale does not always tell the truest tale when it comes to actual, like, look. Nobody really cares about what their weight is on the scale. They want to look a certain way. So anyways, when we kind of get to a 3,000 calorie mark, that's like, okay, he's ready, right? His BMR is as high as it could be. His calories at 3,085. And so that's when, over the course of time, we started to go back the separate ways. So we started to lower them back down slowly add a little bit of cardio in the form of actually more energy expenditure. And then we can kind of depict, as you start to go lower, like I said, scientifically, the body does not want to lose weight, so it'll start to down-regulate things. We wanted to make sure to keep his BMR intact. And how do we do that? With calculated refeeds around the way. So to think about a refeed, and this is not a cheat meal. A cheat meal is like a go free-for-all at your local buffet or what it may be. Calculated refeed is spiking the carbohydrates to keep the leptin high, to keep the ghrelin low, but also make sure that we are keeping the BMR intact and keeping the metabolism intact by giving you enough carbohydrates to make sure that we're getting a good carbohydrate spike to spike the metabolism a little bit and keep it, like, kind of intact a little bit more. So there's a difference, right? But let's kind of go back to where we were at. So on his cut, started his cut at 613, and just within the next week, okay? So that's why I want to put how predictable metabolic priming is. Like, I want you to take this for example, right? So started the cut, all we did was drop 50 grams of carbohydrates, -5 fat, and just added 25 minutes of cardio 4 days a week. And this will happen the next week. Just peeled out of nowhere, right? All of the just got absolutely lean as hell because we've primed his metabolism to do that, right? We're now at 2,700 calories, 2,800 calories, and now we are starting to get leaner at a higher calorie amount, right? Higher energy flux, right? So as time keeps going on, even leaner, right? And then I would check into him and we drop 50 more grams of carbs, right? And then this is coming into this last month with me, now he's super peeled, but his shoulders are getting bigger. He's got capped rear delts. And then we just kept doing the same rate. Add a little bit of cardio, lowered a little bit of food. And now just look how much sharper his abs and how much more defined his abs are. And then we actually gave him a refeed. The last time he checked in, we gave him a refeed and lowered the calories. So why you want to give your clients a refeed and then lower calories? Because once you give them a refeed, the metabolism over the next course of the next 3-4 days, thinks that it's getting more food. So your metabolism is going to spike over the course of a few days. And if you lower food after that metabolism spike, you can get them to get even leaner. And like, look what happens, right? After that refeed, woo! Yeah. So just absolutely freaking peeled. And so we take his like weight, for example. He's at 168. So yeah, technically he's only down like 6 pounds, but look at the side by side. 6 pounds down. But look how much bigger, how much tighter, and how much leaner he is, right? And he's not starving himself. He didn't have to go below 2,000 calories. And the thing is, this is a repeatable process, right? And you can even see in his check-ins, like when we got to that peak, now he's slowly starting to come down. And you want to make slow progress. Fat loss should be done at about 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per week at max. That's how you know you're making good fat loss progress and not dropping too much muscle tissue in the process. So slowly going down, and we're going to keep him going. Like he's on track to get even leaner. But when he checked in this week, I was like, oh, shoot, yeah. So, now you can kind of, the thing about it too, like with metabolic priming, we can do this all over again, right? We can go back and do the metabolic priming phase again and go back into a fat loss phase. And that's how you get stupid lean, like most people you see on social media, because you do it like 2 or 3 times, take it slow, and you make maintainable progress, sustainable progress without just, hammering your fist through the door of cardio and low amounts of calories. There's a better way to do it. You need a more sustainable approach, and you need a plan intact to actually make it there and to actually make it work, right? And that's exactly what I do with every single one of my clients, and that's exactly how I've got Mason absolutely peeled, eating the same amount of food, right? So he's the same amount of food as he was when he started. He was up 900 calories a day, even leaner than before. And now we just kind of like ripped all the body fat off him. And now he's like peeled, eating the same amount of food. He's just doing 25 minutes of cardio 4 days a week. Not a huge amount of cardio, but that's sustainable. 2,200, 2,250 calories is sustainable. Like, you can stay eating that for a while as long as your leptin is low and your leptin's high and your ghrelin's low. Leptin being the satiety hormone in your brain, ghrelin being the hunger hormone in your brain. So like doing it this way, doing it my way, it's a sustainable approach. It doesn't whack your hormones out of place, but it puts you in a spot for longevity. And that's what you want. You want to maintain great progress. So all in all, this is why metabolic priming is the most predictable process. It's an actual it's an actual plan. It's an actual method. It's been studied, and I've absolutely perfected it with every single one of my clients. And I've worked with dozens of guys, and it works every single time with predictable results every time. So if you guys are struggling to get lean right now and you've been watching some of my videos, you've been watching my clients get lean, you've been watching me and doing what I do, like now's the time. Like sign up for a time down below and let me help you, because I can get you to the leanest body fat percentage you've ever been. So there's going to be a link for you to sign up for a 101 and apply to work with me, and we'll sit on a call, see what's stopping you from getting there, see where you want to be, and then we'll make you a plan that's sustainable approach to fit your lifestyle and plug my plan of metabolic priming into your life, right? So I hope you guys liked this case study. It was an absolute banger. There's going to be some more resource links for you guys listed below with my free class entirely on metabolic priming, what metabolic priming is. Has 180,000 views. It's currently getting 10,000 views a day right now. So go check that out. It's absolutely wicked. But I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to keep up with these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.